It is my pleasure today to welcome Sarah Waddle from AARP joining us for our second IRTA Retiredside chat. Over the past 16 years, Sarah has served in a variety of roles with AARP Indiana, including the past 6 years as the State Director. Prior to joining AARP, she spent 4 years at the American Cancer Society working in advocacy and volunteer management. She graduated from Hanover College with a degree in political science. Welcome, Sarah. So tell me, why is AARP so involved with fraud?
Well, first of all, Laura, I want to thank you for allowing me to come talk about fraud. We say that at AARP, everybody loves fraud, but that's kind of like the wrong way to think about it, right? But everybody likes to learn about fraud because, unfortunately, AARP being focused on the 50 plus, these scrupulous folks like to target older Hoosiers, unfortunately, because a lot of them are available during the day. They will answer their phone.
Right.
Folks get lonely. They want to talk to someone. And so there are a lot of reasons why our folks are targeted, but AARP developed the Fraud Watch Network to make sure that we are empowering folks as well as giving them good information to where they can avoid the frauds and scams that are out there. For us, it's really all about financial security. We work our entire lives to be put in a position in our later years to be able to be financially secure. And we want to make sure that nobody gets a hold of that money that doesn't need it. And so we just realized that there was a big need in this area and have been working on educating folks about frauds and scams now for, I think, over 10 years.
Well, I was surprised when I came to IRTA in April that I have received phone calls from members asking for help or just guidance of where to go because they feel like that someone's trying to scam them. So what do you see as maybe the most, I don't want to say popular, but what are some of the scamming that you see that really does target that 50 plus?
Yeah, I think group? In the United States specifically, we really see a lot of identity theft. That's the most popular. But these imposter scams, as they're called, are becoming more and more popular, where people are pretending to be someone they're not. And then online shopping. Folks like to punch in their information on websites to buy something that they shouldn't be looking at or buying from that website. So nationally, those are the big ones. Here in Indiana, imposter scams are the most that have been reported, with identity theft coming in second. Specifically on identity theft, it's credit card fraud. So that means somebody's gotten a hold of your information and opened up credit in your name.
So tell me about imposter scamming. What do you mean by that?
So have you heard about the grandparent scam?
I've heard different things where someone calls and maybe says, I'm your or I'm representing your grandchild or whatever, I need help, that kind of thing.
Yep. So I get a call from somebody who is an attorney in Canada and telling me my grandchild is in jail and they need bail money. And you wire them money, but none of it's true. And I think that this imposter pretending to be somebody they're not to get your money, and putting you under a heightened emotional state, because we're talking about your grandchildren, right? So you automatically panic when you hear that. And we can talk about that heightened emotional state a little bit more later. But then it's just pretending to be somebody they're not. And so it could be the grandparent scam. It could be somebody calling to be pretending to be the IRS. That one happens a lot. Somebody calling, pretending to be Microsoft and that you need to update your security on your computer. Lots of folks pretending to be people that they're not. And it's kind of scary because these cons are professionals and this is their job and they're really good at it.
Is there a a good way to tell the difference between something that is a scam and something that you should take seriously?
That you should take seriously, yeah. I think that, you hear that saying, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. And so when you're seeing information about ways to win money or win a trip or, have your mortgage reduced, whatever it is, they get you. And it really goes back to something that I want to talk about. AARP has interviewed a lot of con artists, folks who have been prosecuted and are now out trying to do good in educating people about how this works. And one of the things that we have learned about is something called ether. And the trick to this is getting someone under the ether, as they say. And that is getting you to that heightened emotional state to where you throw all logic out the window. And they really focus in on personal things like greed. We all like to think about winning money. They get in on your talking about your family or your health care or your home, and they get you amped up. And sometimes they even will say, oh, it's you have to do it now or the money's going to be gone. And so they get that urgency. You have to do it now. And they're tricky, and they're just getting better and better at it all the time. We tell folks you really just need to take a pause when you get one of these solicitations. Sit on it for 24 hours, do your research, talk to your kids or your grandkids, and have them help you do the research before you make any decisions or send anybody any money. Don't get under the ether and make an emotional decision. You want to make a logical decision.
So you said imposters, identity theft. Those are two people think of right away.
Mm-hmm.
So what are other categories that you see fraud or scamming happening that we need to tell our members to be very careful about?
Yeah, there are some persuasion tactics that I think you see over and over again. And that's really where folks are talking about the phantom riches, right? You're going to win this $25,000 or, if you sign up to get into the sweepstakes, that sort of thing, and you're going to win all this money. The profiling, really honing in on personal questions to get to what is important to you and get you under that emotional state. The scarcity, it's only going to be a limited amount of time, so you have to act now. And then source credibility, people talking about how they're highly qualified to be telling you this information and asking for money. They're highly qualified. And then the fear and intimidation. I think that we are seeing more and more where these folks get angry if you're paying attention and you say no, and then the threats start coming in, like we're going to take you to jail if you don't pay the IRS, that sort of thing. And they scare you. I think we see more and more of these. There are a lot of lottery scams and sweepstakes scams out there, especially those social media ads that you want to click on and you see all the time. Mm-hmm. Those are dangerous. And I think some other ones that we see more and more, really, it's the imposter. I got scammed imposter-wise. A home improvement fraud. It's another kind of fraud. So knock, knock, knock at your door. And there's a man, and he looks like a construction person. He has a construction truck. And he told me that he was just down the block working on so-and-so's porch, and he had some extra concrete and saw that my porch was kind of cracking and my steps. And since he had this extra, he'd just charge me $100 and he'd seal it up for me. I was like, well, sure, that sounds like a great idea. Oh, jeez.
Well, what happened?
So he didn't work on anybody's house. He was just driving around with some extra cement in his truck doing this. He was out there for maybe 10 minutes. He slapped some concrete on, and I gave him $100, and he left. And my husband was so mad at me.
So at what point did you really, after he left?
After he left, I thought, I probably shouldn't have done that. And especially after I saw the job that he did. And then I ended up walking down the street and looking for somebody who had work done. Nobody had work done on my street. So I was a victim of home improvement fraud, another type of fraud.
Well, hopefully then our members realize that it isn't just their age when they're being targeted. It can be anybody, because I don't want them to think that it's only. But with that being said, I know I've had a lot of friends at my age and younger who have gotten on websites to meet somebody. And you and I had talked about this earlier. What can happen there? Because they're not asking for money, but they're looking for money?
So these are the romance scams. And, here we are. We just celebrated Valentine's Day. So, we can talk about falling in love. And that's what people want to do. And that's emotional, right? And so you meet these folks online, whether it's, a website or an app. And there are a couple of red flags that I want to alert you to when you're doing this with the romance scams. And the first one is, just remember that not everyone is who they say they are. And if you have somebody who you meet and they really want to get you off the dating site and into personal chat or emails to communicate, that's a red flag. Secondly, if they profess their love too quickly, you should probably step back and think about that. Someone who claims that they're from the United States, but they happen to be working in another country, that's a red flag. Someone who plans to visit, but always cancels. And then finally, I think some of them do ask for money. We've fallen in love online and we've been talking, and I had this medical emergency and I can't pay my medical bill. Can you help me? And then we send you money.
So kind of, pull the heartstrings.
Pull the heartstrings. So when you run across these folks, you got to cut them off right away, because they're going to continue to get and pull at those heartstrings. And really, please don't send money, like wire money, to folks that you really don't know.
So I notice in your notes, and we had talked about I never really thought about Medicare or health insurance scams like I probably should have. So what do you see with that?
So Medicare is part of a larger scam. We just call them government scams because it's all government-related programs. Medicare sees billions of dollars in fraud every year, people making fraudulent Medicare claims, and it really is based on the durable medical equipment. So you'll get a phone call from somebody that says, oh, Medicare, you're eligible to receive this back brace or this wheelchair for free, but you need to do it now because, Medicare is going broke. And so you want to make sure that you get what you're owed. And then you give them your Medicare number, which is what? Your Social Security number. Medicare numbers are very valuable to folks. And so you want to make sure that you're not giving folks who say they're Medicare, you're not giving them information. Because I'm going to tell you that Medicare, Social Security, IRS, none of them are going to cold call you on the telephone. So that's your first red flag. If somebody's calling and saying they're from Medicare, no, they're not.
They're not.
Mm-mm.
Ever.
Nope. They're going to send you something in the mail.
Okay. So that's one way to avoid it. Just don't take those calls.
Don't take those calls.
Or call back when they give you a number. What are other things they can do to protect themselves?
So I think I always tell folks, because there are some folks like me who I have no problem hanging up on people, but there are some folks who just can't do it. They're too polite, they're too nice, they don't want to just hang up on somebody. And I encourage those folks to have a little script by their telephone that helps them get off the phone. So if somebody calls you and you don't know who it is, it feels a little questionable, but you want to be polite. You can just say, I'm on my way out the door to the doctor's. I'm going to get up, I'm going to let you go now. Or I need to talk to my son and daughter. I always, check in with them about any decisions that I make before I do that. And then I think just starting to ask them questions often is a way to get out of the situation, because they don't want to answer your questions. And a lot of times they'll hang up if you start asking questions. But I think first and foremost, I give you complete permission to either not answer your phone or hang up. It's okay.
Now, I want you to know our members are getting better from what I'm finding of screening their calls.
That's good.
Because when I call from my office phone,
Nobody answers.
They don't answer. But they'll call me back after I leave a message. So that's a good thing. That's a good thing that they are doing a better job of screening their calls. So you said a script. I never really thought about that. I like that. And then I noticed on the notes that you gave me of what we were going to talk about, tell me other things. You're talking about shredding sensitive information. I don't think we can do enough of that.
We can't do enough of that. People put all kinds of stuff in their trash. And folks go through the trash a lot. We think about shredding like our documents with important information on it. That's the obvious one. One thing that I was never shredding until I learned this, when you get catalogs or magazines and you have your little address plate on it, there's a barcode on there. And that barcode is full of personal information about you. So making sure that you tear your name off of a magazine before you recycle it. Or, somebody, JCPenney sent you a catalog and you want to make sure you have pull that off there. Because people can get information.
So what do they do if they've been scammed? We've talked about trying to avoid it. We've talked about all the different kinds. Mm-hmm. And I get calls. Matter of fact, I got a call recently about someone who really did experience fraud. Really did. And it's sad. It just breaks your heart. But, I try to help them the best I can. Is there any, I don't want to say easy way, but what's the first thing you should do if you think you have truly been scammed? Is it file a police report? What do you do?
So that would be one thing, is to call the police and let them know. Unfortunately, police are having more and more people that are working in this space because there's just more and more fraud going on. I am going to promote a resource that AARP has, the Fraud Watch Network. We have a hotline that is staffed by trained volunteers that if you think you've been scammed, you can give them a call and tell them what happened. They can give you good information, and then they can plug you into the right places to report or try to recoup what you've lost. And I want to give that number if that's okay.
It's
Can
okay.
I do that?
Do they have to be a member though?
No, it's free and it's for anyone. Not just AARP members, not just for the 50 plus, it's for anyone.
Well, I would like you to give that number.
I will give that number because it's a good one. The Fraud Watch hotline number, 877-908-3360. And these are folks who know a lot about fraud and they can help you. The other thing, while you're online, sometime you should check out AARP's Fraud Watch Network website, where you can sign up for what are called watchdog alerts. And so these are monthly alerts that tell you about a scam that might be happening, because a lot of it trends, right? Certain times of the year, you get holiday scams around Christmas, and you get tax scams around tax filing time. And so they're good watchdog alerts to tell you what's happening and how to avoid it. So you can sign up for those. And you can just go to aarp.org and type in Fraud Watch Network, and it takes you to all kinds of great resources.
Which is why I brought you in today.
Yeah.
So, what I'm really hearing you say is personal information, we've got to protect it with everything. Now, we don't ever give out anything on the phone, ever, and shred everything, and be very careful of those red flags.
Yep.
That you were talking about. And the last thing I want to ask, and we're not here to promote any businesses. But, there's so many things out there that tell people, buy this product or join this product and we'll protect. And I'm not here to promote anyone, but when they reach out to you, is that something you tell them that they need to do? Put those extra security things in place?
Yeah, there are a lot of, and there are more and more. It's becoming a very competitive space in terms of protecting, especially your identity. There's a lot of, safe and secure, things that they advertise, but you can do this without paying anyone. AARP worked on a piece of legislation a number of years ago, but it's still in place today, and it's called a security freeze. And what you can do is you work with the Attorney General's office to place a security freeze on your credit. So essentially you freeze it. And then when you need to establish credit, you want to open a credit card or buy a car, you call and unfreeze it. And then when you're done, you freeze it back up. Mm-hmm. And so nobody can access credit in your name. And there are a lot of companies that will do this for you, but you don't have to pay anything in the state of Indiana, and you can do it through the Attorney General's office.
Well, that right there is a good piece of information to share. Anything I haven't covered that you wanted to?
I don't think so. I think one of the things, and you kind of mentioned this earlier, is this can happen to anyone. And a lot of times fraud goes underreported because people feel a sense of embarrassment or shame if it happens to them. But know that when it happens to you, it's going to happen to someone else. And so by reporting it or sharing with your friends what happened, you could be protecting someone else. Because in this arena, knowledge is power. And the way to stop a scam is to spot a scam. And so the more you know, the better off you're going to be.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I want to thank everyone. This was a recorded episode. We didn't go live today, so we can't take questions. But you're always welcome to send in if you have questions or need more information from us. And again, I hope that you learned something from this today with this Retiredside chat. And maybe we can do this periodically, Sarah, to kind of update on what you're hearing out there.
That'd be great. Unfortunately, I'm sure I'll have new information to share.
Unfortunately, but thank you.
Thank you.